It's your boy Benji Burke, co-host Kevin Pace. We back again with Benjamins in Business podcast show. We got a special guest on the show, but before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe, the like, and the notification buttons. You don't want to miss none of our future shows that's coming on. Today we got Miss Sharon Gordon, Urban Trendsetters. Hey, this is gonna be a great show. How you doing?
I'm good. The pressure's on. I gotta make it a great show. Okay, I'm great.
It's just a conversation. It's always gonna be great. It's gonna be great. So Sharon, tell us a little bit about yourself. You from Columbus, correct?
I am originally actually from Nashville.
Whoa, okay.
I'm from Nashville.
The other Ville.
I am a Southern girl at heart, and but raised here. My mother transferred here when I was about 10.
Okay.
We by way of so Nashville, Jackson, Mississippi, Indianapolis, and then Columbus. She worked for Navistar, which at the time was International Harvester Trucking. So I come from a, I guess, trucking background, if you will. She was the first African-American administrative person there at International Harvester in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
In the 60s. So, you know, yeah, that's saying something, right?
Yeah, I know she had to fight and claw and scratch.
A lot. And it was, living in Jackson was an experience. And I always say that, you know, I was definitely groomed for diversity and inclusion. And I think to do what I do now, although I didn't realize it at the time, you're growing, you're going through your journey, doing, you know, your thing, and not really realizing. Now at this age, I'm sitting back like, God, that's what God was taking me through. That's what all those things were for, so I could have the kind of perspective maybe that I have now. Okay. And then able to do, you know, what I do. So yeah, my beginnings are down south. And again, and in Jackson, I used to say, you know, the people in my neighborhood, when I grew up in Jackson were, you know, I grew up across the street from Charles Evers, who was Medgar Evers' brother. Yeah. We lived in a, you know, nice neighborhood, if you will. Maybe not so much now, but nice neighborhood at the time. And next door was the gentleman that owned the pharmacy, and you know, all these entrepreneurial African Americans, you know, show Black excellence all the time. And so that's what I had. You didn't know nothing else. I didn't know anything else, and that's an experience a lot in, you know, in southern towns, you know, where we had to have our own. We didn't have the option, and we didn't get the option a lot later than some. And then even with that, my father's side of the family is from Pulaski, Tennessee, which is the home of the Ku Klux Klan. Where they had their first meeting was actually in that city. That's also the city that I ended up going to college. My grandmother lived there. I used to go there all the time in the summer. So just seeing the variety, because I actually grew up in Westerville, Ohio. Before we overcame. So I was the only Black child in my whole elementary school at the time, Amherst. Then all through junior high school, got to Westerville South. I think there may have been 6 of us in the graduating class.
I thought you went to
the difference. I went to Westerville South and kept my culture, though. I always say was Second Baptist, because that's the church I grew up in on 17th and Long. So I had a good balance, you know. Of it, and I think that was a lot of the grooming for me. Never allowing my race to
slow you down,
determine or slow me down, because I always saw greatness and knew what we could, you know, do and be. And I come from farmers. My mother's parents were farmers. My grandfather had 100 acres of land. He was a sharecropper. All of his 6 children graduated from Tennessee State in the 50s and 40s. So, you know, so it was a lot of pressure on us too, you know, growing up to be, you know, at least act as though we had home training.
You know. For sure. So what was like kind of that moment in your life that kind of pushed you towards media?
That's so crazy. So I was a hairstylist for about 15 years. I knew that's what I wanted to do. You know, your parents want you to go college and everything. Like, oh, I got to go to college. I just need to go to beauty school because I already knew what I wanted to do. And that was my desire. I was going to be the Charles Pinzone, female and have salons all over. So again, the entrepreneurial thing was always there.
Yeah.
Not sure what I was going to do. And so I had did hair, and then also believing that whatever I use and do, I should be able to sell, and how can I make money off of it, or what can I do? And so with that, I started Mary Kay. I had a Mary Kay business. So when I got done with your hair, I did your face, right? So you can buy stuff from me. We'll do another segment on black hair care and
for sure.
black beauty and not owning it later, but nevertheless.
Because I was in the hair care industry too.
Were you?
Yeah.
See, and it is so sad that as African Americans, we own 4% of black hair
they all
care.
sold to
it's
the Koreans.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. So we got to figure out how to get that back. But I, again, looking for a way to advertise. Advertising is very expensive and can be. And so I did a hair magazine. So that was the first delve into media. I did a hair magazine with a friend of mine. And then I went on to the Columbus Post, and I started doing a beauty column. And I remember, and if anyone ever, remembers the amazing Amos Lynch, who was the publisher, and of course you have the King Arts, that plaza's named after him, the godfather of media.
Went to school with his son.
Yeah, the godfather of media. I went to them and said, hey, I want to do a column. I told them that I thought that they needed something exciting in their paper. Kind of nervous that, right? And I said, there's no beauty, there's no fashion. So I'm thinking, like, how can we do something that looks Columbus Dispatches, but for us, right? And so they had all those different lifestyle sections and all of that. And he agreed. And I started being the beauty editor. Never written anything ever before. All I was trying to do was get my name out. My column was called Make Me Over, and I would take pictures of my clients before and I would do them after, tell you how I achieved the look, right? So that's how that started. Then I said, well, how do you guys make money, with this? Because I know it's not this $1 a copy, and they said, well, we sell advertising, and that's how we do that. I said, oh, okay, I need to learn how to sell some advertising then, because I was trying to figure out how to get paid from this. Now at the time I was the promotions marketer director for Nordstrom's. We'd just gotten a Nordstrom's here in the city, and I love my job, but I had the opportunity to interview Halle Berry. And I put in my resignation because I said, this is what I want to do. I get the opportunity to speak to people like this and, all that. And so I learned about press releases and just all that part of it. And as you know, the Columbus Post ended up selling. And I thought, where am I going to go, where I can do this? I don't have a degree in this. I can't walk into the Dispatch like I did there and say, hey, this is what you need me to do, so what can I do? And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna start my own. At the time we had the other paper, we had Columbus Alive, but we didn't have any type of a free tabloid newspaper for us. And so about within a 90-day period, I launched the first edition of Urban Trendsetters news magazine.
Okay, and that was like a full-blown magazine that talked about
every
what?
2
Was
weeks.
it hair? Was it?
No, it was lifestyle. It was just an urban lifestyle, and and excellence in that. Again, we did no negative news,
Of course not.
or anything. We still don't. 20 years later, that is our whole goal is showing African American at our best, whether it's business, our youth, all types of things, and shining light on individuals that ordinarily would not be newsworthy because they're doing great things.
Okay.
Right. And mainstream media will spotlight us every once in a while, and that's a good thing. Thank you. However, we have to own our media outlets in order to do things and and keep our voice, change the narrative, that kind of thing. And so that's what Urban Trendsetters was created to do in the newspaper format.
What year was
this
that?
This is in 2003.
Okay.
February 7th, 2003.
And you were mainly in print?
We were only print. They didn't even have websites then, sweetie.
Yeah.
That's how long ago this is, right? You didn't have to have a website or any of the email marketing or any of those things. It was just a print. And we launched at our still amazing media partner, Radio One. We launched at a 107 Power had a anniversary party.
Okay.
And allowed us to be the media partner. So everyone left the event with the paper. And that's how we got started. And then the general manager at the time, who was Charles Richardson, invited me to his office. And Brenda Spencer, shout out to these people, was my account rep. And he called us both into the office and he said, I want to do some trade with her. And I was just like, what? This is the first issue, right? So I'm blown away. He said, I love the newspaper. It's great. It's positive. It looks good. And it was so funny because everyone thought, oh, this really looks good. And I kept thinking, what you think it was going to look like? You know what I mean? We can be so hard on each other, which is also why nugget number 72, don't tell everybody what you're doing. Just do it, launch it, and go. Yeah. Because people will talk you out of your vision and your dream, not out of necessarily hating, but sometimes out of loving you and don't want you to fail, don't want to see you get hurt,
and sometimes they perceiving their limitations on you.
Exactly.
So they don't think you can do it because they can't.
And they don't see it. So you just have to do it first. And so he ended up granting us, if you will, about 40 grand in trade. And so we were doing commercials and all that kind of thing, and I was allowing my clients, because I've always been the type of how can I, include or combo it or whatever, So I said, well, if you advertise in the paper, then you can get a spotlight on radio and all these kinds of things. And so it was really fun because a lot of times people had not had the opportunity to advertise their business.
Right.
You could get an Urban Trendsetters for $150, 75 on a good day, with just a business card ad or something of that nature. And so just letting people see that, and the other part is Columbus is a little different in terms of how we're set up. Right? So we don't really have, in my opinion, you go to some cities, there are some ghettos. Like, we don't have it really bad here in this city and in different areas. But as African Americans, we're very spread out, and so if you want to say, oh, we should support black businesses, that's great, but where are we? And so Urban Trendsetters became a place to at least let folks know where you are, what you do, what business you're in, as well as, corporate leadership, what are community leaders doing, and allowing, again, corporations to say that they support us, show us. And you show us by advertising with us and supporting our outlets, our medias, our business,
So you went from paper to digital. So
digital.
So when did digital come in?
Digital came in kind of when the whole revolution or era of websites and all that came in. We basically, we didn't do anything differently with the paper other than put it in PDF digital format, so you could download it. I started doing email marketing probably in 2006. I know that we were one of the first in the urban community, especially, to send out email blasts. So I started doing email blasts, and I used to collect cards all the time. I did a lot of free stuff, if you will. I tried to be at every event. So in every, whether it was Juneteenth, Ohio State Fair, if it was a concert, there was a paper, grab the paper on your way out the door, whatever I could do to get in and get my stuff distributed.
Okay.
Remember, stacks of business cards. Y'all remember when we used to just
Yeah.
have business cards out the
I think
wazoo.
I still got a stack somewhere.
Right, and they're scared to get rid of them.
Man.
Right? They don't have that number no more.
Right. That number gone. And the email.
Gone. You know, and the email all over with. AOLs, Yahoos, yeah, all gone. So, you know, building that database, we now have over, you know, 78,000 email subscribers. But I was doing that before Constant Contact was even created.
Yeah.
You know, when you just did the blind carbon copy and sent it out, you know, that way, old-fashioned way, you know. And so, yeah, I feel like I've definitely grown up through the ranks.
I mean, did you, from the email blast, was it, did it help? Did it work?
Absolutely, and it still works.
Okay.
Absolutely, because let me tell you one thing for certain and for sure, everyone nowadays has an email address.
Has an email, yeah. And
most people now, the email goes right to their phone. They get a notification, let them know it's there, you know. The important part about the email marketing too, and I'm proud to say we have about a 47% open rate. It's developing the relationships with the people that you are emailing. You know, that they have opted in, say they want to receive your stuff, and knowing that you're going to send them stuff that matters. That matters. You know, it's not always to sell. You know, it's just, you know, maybe just general information, you know, that you want to share. But email marketing will always work. I think it's even more effective than social media marketing because everyone doesn't do social media. But everybody has an email address.
Yeah, and it seems more personal.
It is more, yeah. And nowadays with the fancy platforms, you can say, hi, Angie, or whatever, you know, in the email. So it doesn't seem like everybody got the same email. And the new thing that we're doing too is adding video to our email marketing, because we know video is always going to be amazing. And it's so funny, people are like, oh girl, are you into video? I'm like, baby, you've been into video. How long you been watching TV? Not even connecting those dots. Video and TV, it's always been video. You know, the thing that now that we have the ability to do, that now that we have Urban Trendsetters TV, is change what we look like on TV. So kind of dive deep into Urban Trendsetters TV. So what is that, and let people know what exactly that is. I'm so glad you asked me that, guys, because I've as a communicator, I'm probably one of the worst communicators, right? I can tell your story so much better than I can tell mine. And, you know, it feels sometimes when you're telling your own stuff, it feels puffed up, or, you know what I mean? So I have been told that I do not tell this story enough. So I appreciate you for allowing us the opportunity to do that. And so when we're asked, okay, so how are you the first 100% Black owned and operated broadcast television network? That's huge. Can you say that again? That's first huge. 100% Black owned and operated broadcast television network. And the first question that I get is, well, what about BET? BET is cable. Well, what about OWN? OWN is cable and not 100% Black owned. Well, what about, like, what else could you say? What else is, right? That's sad in itself. So let's start with that, right? The fact that we have not had this opportunity, and now it's 2023, you know, is really a sad case of affairs. So what happens is with broadcast television, it's just like when you get into the car and you turn on the radio. It's the airwaves. It's free. Okay. FCC regulated. It's free. No one has to do anything but get in and turn on their radio. Broadcast, however, in the frequency of it is limited to area. So you have license of areas that you can broadcast in. So when you're driving in the car, after you get out of a certain space, you can't hear the radio station. Another station picks up, right? Broadcast television is the same way. When you think about broadcast, though, because it's the first form of television, ABC, CBS, NBC. Those are the first and the major broadcast television networks. And those three pretty much own all the other little networks, you know, under them.
Okay.
Right? So we start out with the three broadcast networks. Now, when we got BET, that was amazing, right? The thing with BET, though, was if you didn't have cable, you couldn't access it, which is the same as it is now. So when broadcast is free TV, that makes it more community oriented. We're censored differently because anyone, again, kids can turn it on at any time and that kind of thing. But that's what makes us the first free broadcast television network, right?
So how do people find that? Like, do people know? Like, if I wanted to go find your channel,
so
where would I go?
Right. So now that we are, again, FCC regulated and all that, you can go to TV Guide, you know, if we're in your market. So we'll go back a little bit. So starting the network here in Columbus, we started it with a gentleman that owned a channel here in Columbus. So he was out of Dallas, and how that happened, that's a long story on his end, but he ended up with this channel. He really didn't want the channel. He was 80-something years old, right? And I had met him some years back, so always keep your relationships good because you never know.
You never know.
Right? And but I had called him because we had a show, Urban Trendsetters Unplugged, that we was airing pretty much when we could afford time, right? And I said, you know, I really want to do this show again, and so I was calling to get rates on time slots. And I called this channel, which is channel 32, and we're on channel 32.10. And I'll explain the digital piece then. But I called and talked to him about doing a show on there, how much would it cost, etc. Long story short, he says, I have a greater opportunity for you. I need some help. Famous last words. I'm like, okay, what do you need? He needed someone that would be here locally that could help him take care of the phones, do things at the station, right? And in return, he would give me my time slot. So that $150 a week or $250 a week that people that had do paid programming, that's what paid programming means. They're paying for that time slot. And so I didn't have to pay those fees. So I'm like, well, cool, yeah, I can do that. It's not like it was a busy station. I just had the phones boarded to my, you know, phone number, you know, no big deal. The only thing though with television and 32 at the time was considered a low power broadcast channel. And so those examples would be most of the channels that go beyond the top tier numbers, past 10 or 11, can be considered low power, meaning they don't cover as much area as you know, a high power channel does. And so, but a great way to get going, right? And so that trade agreement, if you will, ended up becoming you can have 24, a whole stream. So what this gentleman did was, his business was, when FCC said, okay, cable is taking over and the broadcast operators, the people that own the channels in the city, could not get the type of coverage and could not compete with cable, right? So FCC says, well, because you know, we go through polls, so we can't go any further out, but we can go higher. So that brought on digital networks, right? So then what those NBC, ABC, and CBS did was start creating sub-networks, MyTV, Ion Network, what are some other ones? It could be anything at this point. They've got so many, Court TV, you know, and those networks, and then they would take a lot of old content, right, and then
run
make
those.
these channels,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
And so Jimmy's job, that was a gentleman on the channel at the time, was to go to these stations and make them digital. So he had made his money, right? And but this was a sore spot for him, this particular channel, and so he was trying to sell it, and he ended up finding a buyer for it. But I'm going ahead of myself. So what I did was I took that network, I took those 24 hours, and I started reaching out to other networks that weren't in the Columbus market. So we had Cozy TV, that's Murder, She Wrote, and that kind of stuff. And so I started learning how to negotiate and how those networks operated. And so I said, you know, I could do this. I think I could really do this. The only problem is I only had an idea for one show. You know? So you got 30 minutes out of 24 hours, right? That, you know, I have to fill these other 23.4 hours. So I started reaching out to content providers and creators to see how to negotiate content. And one of the first
and content, you mean?
shows.
Okay.
I needed shows. Had to fill those
Shows
slots.
like Sanford and Son.
Yes.
Like the Jeffersons.
Yes,
we
needed
something to fill those time
fill
slots.
these time slots. And so I had a conversation with the folks at Entertainment Studios, which is Byron Allen and his group, and I was able to get the court shows that we have. So Judge Hatchett and that kind of thing. And so first I was able to get about 4 hours of content. So if you guys remember when OWN kind of started, kind of rotated that format over and over, you know, so you got 4 hours of content, you rotated 6 times, right? And then just started building from then. You know, again, this is all self-taught, you know, observation. Because again, there's not a lot of folks that look like me in the business to even call and ask, right? So I had to get help and information where I could get it. Of course, Jimmy was very helpful.
Okay.
And so just trying to navigate and do that. And so what happened was he ended up selling the channel, right? So again, you've got the broadcast level. You've got channels. So for example, here in Columbus, ABC airs on a Sinclair channel. So you have the channel owner, and then the channel owner looks for content, which is a network. The network has to have content to become the network. You see what I mean? So it's like a tier.
So if somebody, and this, I'm just thinking of this. So let's just say you found the content and you had a show like Mel's Diner that runs 30 minutes of your 24. And Mel's Diner is going to be commercials. Who first of all, who got the commercial? Who gets paid from that advertisement?
So it can be a variety of ways. When you have, it depends on how you got the content, right? So if I just license the content for, say, you know, a season or so many episodes, they'll just send me the shows, and the shows come with no commercials. And then we as a network sell to our sponsors to advertise within the shows. Now, as a producer, say, of the show, and getting someone, you know, like you're trying to do now, you know, find people to invest, you know, put the show together, that kind of things. Those executive producer roles, right, are generally the financiers of the show, and they get that together and that kind of thing, and you know, and sell the show. So a lot of times, some shows we get, they're already they're ready to go. There's no commercials in it. and we pay for the content.
So that means you can't put a commercial in it?
We can't, because I pay for the content.
Okay.
Right?
So you're allowed to.
I pay for the content so I can put the commercials in. Well, first of all, anything that gets on Urban Trendsetters, we have the ability to put our own commercials in.
Okay.
Right? That's how channels and networks, that's how we make our money. It is based on the agreement, though, how you do that. Some shows that we have may come with a few spots already in, or their sponsors in the show.
And so the people you bought it from, that's their ad dollars.
Those are their ad dollars. And then when we get it, so say for example, you guys have a 30-minute show, right? And that show is really about 24 minutes of content. Mm-hmm. 6 minutes of commercial. You get 3, I get 3.
Okay.
So
do you have dead airspace now that you're looking for?
No, I'm never gonna have that. I have things that I can replace.
Okay.
Right? Because you can't have dead airspace.
Right.
That's against that's against FCC regulations and rules. So you may see reruns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So reruns are opportunities
to replace that with something else.
Exactly.
And so are most shows 30 minutes?
No, just depends. Depends on the program, just like with any other network. You know, there could be hour programs, 30-minute programs. You know, special programs. For example, we just our third or fourth year airing Black Music Honors.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So this year they're honoring Missy Elliott. So that's
that's right.
Gonna be amazing. Was an amazing show, and we will air that in June for Black Music Month.
Right. So how can we get 30 minutes? I want to be on your show.
Well, Benji, I've been asking you to do this already, so you guys are here now. I'm hoping we're going to do that, right?
Yeah,
that's what we're here for, right?
Absolutely.
And so what I've been doing, Benji, and I'm glad you asked me, because again, because we have not really been in this space, we don't know how to get in the space. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we have not always been the people that will share information when we get it. That's not me. I understand that if I show you guys how to get it, mm-hmm. whether or not you stay with me or not, you'll know, mm-hmm. right? Of course, I'm going to set up parameters so that you will stay with me for at least a short amount of time.
For sure.
But it's definitely the opportunity where we can grow. And what has happened with Urban Trendsetters now, as you know, the channel was purchased. Mm-hmm. And I tell you another thing too. My thing with building and creating the network was so that we could be in other markets.
Okay.
Right? And so you can start with the show. You don't have to be as crazy as I have been and decide to do this way.
Right.
You can start with the show. Byron Allen started with the show. Oprah Winfrey started with the show. Right? And then from that show, create other shows, right? Tyler Perry started with Tyler Perry now has enough content, he could do his own network. Right. You know, I'm looking for some Tyler Perrys. Okay. You see what I mean? I'm looking for the content creators, because now what we have in Urban Trendsetters that we haven't had mm-hmm. Before is distribution. Mm-hmm. And that is what content creators have always needed, especially us. I've heard horror stories, and I'm talking about from people that are in the industry that, you know people, actors and actresses that have had content and they created content but couldn't get distribution. Right. Yeah. So when the gentleman sold the channel here in Columbus, he sold it to someone that owned 7 other channels, right? So I wasn't a network until this gentleman sold and then allowed us to go on his other channels, because now we were on more than 3 channels, and that made us a network. Look at God. Wow. Because that's all that was. Mm-hmm. When I tell you, so no, I did not have millions of dollars. So stop trying to figure out where I got all the money. I didn't have to have that. I had a dream, passion, and God, period. And let things do what They do. I said I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I said I was going.
I watched you do it.
No idea
Yeah.
how, but the universe is amazing in how it operates and moves. And so now, you know, we have the distribution. We are in Columbus, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Louisville, launching in Dayton. We have a Vegas market,
Tennessee?
Houston.
Wow.
You know I'm in Nashville. So so now what this does now, and let's think about this. When you think about cable, right? If you're in Columbus watching BET, and I'm in Cincinnati watching BET,
Right.
and you're in Indianapolis watching BET, we're watching the same thing. Broadcast is different because it's locally based usually,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Locally based,
So whatever they
and then
putting
have
on in that
national
local,
piece,
yeah.
right? So at 6 o'clock, you're watching the news. That's a whole different group of people than this 6 o'clock watching Columbus on 8. It's a whole group of anchors, news people. So now we really have the opportunity to create and let all this talent in these different markets, news programs, local community programs, right? That can air different parts of the day. And then, just like national networks, you have those national programs. But now we have that local opportunity.
Right.
Then we added, of course, the Roku and the Fire Stick.
Yep.
So, and that wasn't so, because you could, you know, watch us online or whatever, but we weren't on cable.
Okay.
Right? And so how else could we get and reach out on a national level? So we went to the Roku and the Fire Sticks because they have so many subscribers. We don't charge you to download it because it's free TV. You know, you can just download it. And so now we're just looking for, again, content creators, folks that have their show ideas, trying to show people how to go from your YouTube show to TV, from your radio podcast, like you guys are doing here with the podcast, how to create it, how to design it so that it's suitable for TV as well. Not take away your YouTube channel or the other things that you're using, because what we recognize is that it is still valuable. All those things are valuable, but people consume their content in so many
Different ways, yeah.
So how can we reach all of them? If it is, you know, maybe your show is, a great example is Drink Champs. Drink Champs started as a podcast. Now they're on Revolt. You know, it's cable, but that's national. That's a big deal. It's, you know, and the more places you are, guess what? The more advertising dollars you can get, the more sponsorship things you can get locally.
More viewers.
And nationally.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so someone said, well, if I have my YouTube show, why would I need to go on TV?
Okay.
So I'll give you a good scenario. You have YouTube, you do your show, you know, spend good money, you know, creating your show, your videographers, just renting your studio and all of that. You put your show up and you know, do some social media, go look for it, da 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 da. But you're not really gonna get paid until you get viewers.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And it takes a while, a long time to get viewers to, you know, go to YouTube. TV, you create the show. All those things still matter, right? But now you go get you some sponsors, because guess what? The network has the coverage. You already have the viewers. Now you're going to say, okay, we're going to get paid. You get paid before you go on air, because your advertisers, your sponsors, your, you know, product placement, you know, so somebody sponsoring this, the coffee cup has the stuff on there, you know, all the things that you can do to get the sponsorship. The station helps you advertise, put your media kits together, and those kind. Well, we do. Not everyone does, but we do. Again, not only are we trying to distribute, we want to show and teach, right?
So I mean, my question, and I could be, again, I'm trying to learn. So if we had a YouTube channel, which we do, but we're building our viewers and subscribers, and we went on, how can we grow that coming like on a channel or like one of your networks? How can viewership grow, but we're YouTube? You see what I'm saying? Do we have to convert it from YouTube to actually being in a studio and being it shot as a actual show? Or do we stay YouTube and that can be put on?
Well, here's the deal. You always want to do it like a show.
Okay.
YouTube is just a platform.
For sure.
Right?
Okay.
So, and that's the difference. Like, you know, if I can show you how to produce it professionally, your openers, your closers, your bumpers, your all those things for television.
Okay.
Right? You know, watching the language or whatever, or at least having the ability to, you know, bleep and that kind of stuff if you need to. That whole piece. Getting, again, your sponsors. Those are dollars. Those dollars help advertise. Get your marketing out there. Put the billboards up. Hey, we're going to be on, you know, Urban Trendsetters TV. Now what that also gives is, well, they already have, they're on Roku, they're on Fire Stick, you know, it can be on demand. You've got the viewership capability. Now it's just about telling them you're on there.
Okay.
Right? It's a different, it's different and the same. You still need to do your social media. You still need to promote, you know, just like you see any other show on, you know, you'll know 2 months ahead of time sometimes when a show is getting ready to premiere or, you know, or get started or whatever. And so, and all of those pieces can have advertising and marketing dollars to them as well. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, it can happen in various ways.
Yeah.
And again, there are so many folks out there creating really good content that we will never see because they don't have access to distribution. And that's what we want to create. And that's been our thing, whether it's been music or whatever it is, you know. You can create it, but if no one sees it, what does it do?
Yeah.
So that awareness piece is big, and like you just alluded to short while ago, you know, distribution, and then opportunities as well. So like you said, there's a lot of people out here, but you know, doing stuff on YouTube. They're doing things, but you know, there's levels to this.
It is.
You know, and how do we navigate more people that look like us to the right level, so everybody can get to where they need to be. You know, how do you think about, what do you think the right approach to that is?
When you're saying levels, are you saying levels in the production, or are you saying levels in
just in everything, and just being able to get to that point, like you said, to get to that distribution piece. You know, work ethic, like you said work ethic, you said God, you said a lot of things, but the thing is, to me, that I know is that you've been in the game. So things like that come to you. Someone gives you that opportunity. So, you know, it's hard for us to get those opportunities. And so one of the things Benji and I always talk about is being able to connect with people who are on the same page about creating those opportunities for our people.
So, I mean, again, you know, I'm here. I think part of it is, again, when we do get to a place where we can bring each other on, we need to do that. I think that, you know, I'll give as an example, when I said with the paper, I didn't want to just do a newspaper. I wanted to do an amazing newspaper. I wanted to do one that would sit on the shelf next to anything else and you wouldn't be like, oh, that's the Black people newspaper. I wanted to be a great newspaper. I didn't want to be a good Black newspaper. I don't want to have a great Black network. I want to have a great network. Absolutely. Right? And so I don't want you to you're going through, scrolling through, and then you get to us and we look like public access.
Right, absolutely.
Right? So even if that means that right now there are just some things there are some people that are creating good content that I can't air on the network, because it needs to be more polished or
Yeah.
whatever that looks like. And that doesn't mean I wouldn't put you
Right.
on demand on our Roku or something like that, you know, or the YouTube page or some
Right.
things like that. But I definitely, if you are willing, a lot of other times too, we've got to get out of our own way,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
because, and I know I've been guilty of this too. I've created this thing. It's amazing to me. I've looked at it 90 times. And then, but if you can't take constructive criticism about your baby,
Right.
because you know we create something, it's
Yeah.
our baby.
Right, right.
Talk about my
right.
baby. You know how much I spent on this baby?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, if
But I
it's,
think that's all part of the process.
you
gotta,
have to.
Yeah.
You have to. You know, you got to put egos aside. You know, sometimes forget what you think you know so
Yeah.
that you can know and grow.
Yeah.
But we definitely have to. Here's the other part too. We can't continue to die with our recipes because we don't want to share the recipe,
Right.
right? So,
We do what we do because we want to connect. Starting off with this region, we want to connect people. I mean, and that's we start off our happy hours for that.
love.
You know, and so
And even that is a show. I mean, you know, one of the things with what you guys have done, which is great, and I recommend it to others, is you built your brand
Yeah.
and then started your show, right? So you're going to have people that you already know.
Yeah.
I saw, Jeff Gilliam,
Yeah.
First Friday, one of the most amazing promoters. You had Donnell on here. So the one good thing and the strategic thing with that is you're connecting with people that already have a following, right? So those people can become your followers and all that kind of thing. I think a lot of times too, I was guilty of this, just saying, hey, I need help.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I need help.
Yeah.
I'm strong at this part, but I'm not at this part. Barter works every time, still
Every
does.
time.
What are your
That's-
resources, the skills?
that's huge.
How do we match and mix and put this thing together? Okay, this brother is amazing at videography. This one's photography. You guys got the show. How do we put something together so we can at least make a sizzle and go get us some money so we can go do some more shows? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we've got to be able to work together. I can't be afraid you're going to steal my stuff.
Right. Right.
You know? Right?
Yeah, it's enough stuff for everyone.
It's enough for everybody. And I promise you, what's for you is for you.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. You know, so I think that for us to really get to the next level, we already know that we operate in excellence. We are amazing people, right? So how do we come together? And I'm asking everyone to come this way. Come to Urban Trendsetters. I'm going to show you and tell what I don't know. I will find out.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
And let's get some good content up there. I'm looking for children shows. I'm looking for, because think about it. We're a broadcast network. On Saturdays, I got to have, and this is not because I want them.
It's amazing.
FCC says I have to.
My granddaughter watches some stuff that, oh my goodness, it's like, man, every time she come over, I got me looking like, and it's kids, but it's kids shows.
Stuff. Oh my God,
You know what I
they
mean?
got
So-
they have some cartoons teaching kids. You're just jammed like Jules
Yeah.
TV. I want Jules TV.
Jules TV,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And why? Well, because if it's on free broadcast TV,
Exactly.
anybody's child can see it.
Everybody.
That's
yeah.
the difference with the broadcast. It's free TV, and good news. Just like when you go to the hotel and the Bible's in the thing, good news should be accessible. Right?
Accessible.
Creating shows that also, because most networks think all we want to do is sing, dance, sports, whatever.
Right.
The first thing that happens when our media gets acquired, BET, they take the news off. They take anything empowering off. That's the first thing that they do, because they want to keep us dumbed down, out of the know. We don't know what's going on.
that makes
but
sense.
Crazy arts and entertainment. That is by design.
Yeah.
You listen to the radio, our music, the music that they are distributing
Yeah.
is not all the music we're making,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But we don't own the radio stations.
So they're gonna put what they want to
What
put.
they want us to consume
Yeah.
is what we get access to.
Yeah.
Period.
So Sharon, where can people find you? Where are you located?
So start at urbantrendsetters.com.
Okay.
Because that's going to give you everything else you need to know, whether it's going to television, if it goes to the newspaper, if it goes just general news and information. Urbantrendsetters.com is just the
Okay.
best place to go. Sharon at urbantrendsetters.com is my email address.
Okay.
So email me. Also, and then utstv.com. There's information there if you want to host your own show, if you want to be a guest on some of our upcoming shows.
Okay.
If you want to submit your ideas for a show, everything is confidential. I'm not trying to share it. I don't want your show. I
Right.
want you to do your show.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So,
So do you have a
to
place
share.
that they can go and shoot a show or learn or watch a show that's already being done? I mean, is there a physical place that people can go and see?
Yeah, we can. So another thing, we got some live recordings
Okay.
coming up too. But yeah, not to just let folks come in and just see. No,
Okay.
you have to.
You have
there's a
to-
process.
Okay.
And if you're serious, then
Then, yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
But we are working on some different things in the community. For example, going just to be out and about. Right, man on the streets. Because
Yeah.
I want people to turn on Urban Trendsetters and
Yeah.
see Pookie, Mel might
Yeah,
be
yeah.
on there, Uncle Joe, or something, because they were
Right.
just out at an event,
Yeah.
you know, having a great time. I want to work with promoters that have concerts and stuff coming, so we can do. I want a backstage type of show.
Exactly.
You know, and these are not shows that I just have to do. I just want the show. So if you have the access, if you have the talent, if it's something you want, then we're looking for. We're looking
Okay.
for hosts. So people that want to, again, host shows that that we already have ideas for. We're looking for anchors, you know, people to do news, because we want to start doing news in the fall.
So do they need to have experience, or is this something that they can
It's
work
not
into?
absolutely necessary to have experience, because then that would be a little, because I didn't.
Right. And so
I don't
we
want
gotta.
to miss anybody,
Yeah. Okay.
because I have all these stipulations that I never had for myself.
I got you.
You know, or no one gave me.
Yeah.
You know, because what I cannot teach is passion, purpose,
Yeah.
attitude,
Yeah.
courage. I can't teach that. I
Yeah.
can teach this other stuff.
Yeah.
Or we can get somebody to teach you the other stuff.
Okay.
But a desire and a great personality, you know, we can make something shake.
Now,
Man.
back to something you said earlier. What was a question you said? So how can we bring the other entities together? I just think transparency and urgency, especially with these, you know, there's a lot of things going on in our community right now, and so, you know, with Benjamins in Business, Urban Trendsetters, just all the other things that you talked about as far as the promoters, just the positivity because they need to see that positivity.
Absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
really need to see that.
And our kids need to see it. You know, some of the campaigns we really want to work on, some stop, I hate to say stop the violence, because I don't like to speak what I don't want. But you know, peace, having
Yeah.
peaceful summers,
Yeah.
you know, workforce programs that are out there. Where's the money? The procurement fairs. We have the opportunity now to televise this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, to actually
Yeah.
go to these places and talk to these folks that know where the dollars are. If you're, you know, if they're building what is the intel? How do the minority contractors get in on the bid? These are shows that we and things and people that we're talking to
Right.
on Urban Trendsetters. So it's not just arts and entertainment.
Yeah.
We need empowerment
Yeah,
TV.
for sure.
And I mean empowerment TV, not motivating, oh yeah, this is great. No, we need, so just like one of the things I used to love that Channel 10 does here in Columbus is the, honoring the graduates. We're gonna do that too. you know, from HBCUs. We got the HBCU games, you know, in the fall that we're airing on free broadcast. You don't have to have ESPN pay for it. You know, you don't have to go to cable. You'll be able to come to Urban Trendsetters and watch the live broadcast. Of course, that needs money, so we need you all to advertise with us and support. But I think that's the other part of taking things to the next level, to understand how important it is to have access to our own voice and vision, and then out of that importance and understanding it, where are your dollars? We have a 1,000,001 Urban Trendsetters campaign. If you go to urbantrendsetterstv.com and go to 1,000,001 Trendsetters, it's a campaign where we're just asking you to go watch for an hour and donate $1. But guess what? 1 million people donate $1 is still $1 million, right? And what can we do with that? We can pay videographers. We can create shows. We can, you know. That's what it is. We have, if we're going to get to the next level, we all need to understand that we all need to participate, so we all can get there together. Because we've shown how amazing we are. For sure. When we come together, we can build it up or shut it down. And that has been shown, and we show that every time with our dollars. And what we support. I agree. You know.
And you may or may not know this, but we have something called the Choose Love Community Initiative.
I do know this.
And so one of the things that I talked about too, just to people that are out here in the community that understand the importance of infusing love back into our community, we just asked them to help us sell 100,000 T-shirts for $20. You know, and that goes back to, like you said, and me and Benji talk about all the time. I said, you know, that $1 million is going to help us all. Like you don't understand. Like, these people don't understand how impactful that is. But we need those dollars though.
Because the same people will, I mean, just invest in crazy things. You know, spending money crazy places. Like, we're just asking for the $1. We're just asking for the 20. You know, and then after you give your $1, can you tell 10 friends to give theirs? Right? So I always look at it back to my old training of Mary Kay, right? You know, do we have little TV parties? You know, like, what do we need to, we have little Choose Love T-shirt parties. But one of the things that I could do, right, because you're asking how do we work together, so let's create a Choose Love campaign. Let's do a Choose Love infomercial. Let's do a Choose Love commercial. You know, what does that mean? You know, because I don't know. I thought it was a really cute logo. I didn't know what you really wanted to do with the campaign. Right? So let's make it that. You know, it is definitely, again, we just have to do the work. And the people that are out there talking about, oh, you know, the narrative, we don't support each other. That's not true. I've been in business for 20 years. That's a lie. So we're gonna stop it. You know, and all the other myths, if you will, that are out there, many of the things, again, by design. You listen to the radio, they're only allowing a certain amount of songs to be played. We're singing love songs and everything else, but that's not what you hear. Right? So how do we, again, change that narrative? Well, we don't own a lot of the radio stations. I mean, at the end of the day, we have a few local radio stations, a large number, if you will. Radio 1, Kathy Hughes, you know, owns those, but the other is so corporate based. We want to bring back old, you know, video shows, but not just the Donnie Simpson kind. Love that too. But the local artists that are out here, the radio station doesn't even play local artists. Well, guess what? If you have a video, we'll play it. And so that brings me to Urban Trendsetters Radio, which we're working on that too online. So, you know, my thing is we got to create more. And we got to distribute more. But we've got to give messages. We should not have big concerts, have intermission, and we talk no empowerment. You know, it's crazy to have that access to that many people at one time. And not give some kind of a message. You know, everything needs to count. right now. Right? Because that whole Black Lives Matter thing is going to shift, it's going to fade, all the different movements. This needs to be consistent.
Right.
It's not a movement.
Yeah, for sure.
This needs to be every day.
Yeah.
It's not a campaign.
Yeah.
This needs to be every day.
Every day.
You know, Hispanics can go any day, anywhere, any city, USA, and find a Hispanic network that speaks in their language.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of advertisers and marketers say, well, we don't have to do much different because you guys, you know, you speak English and da-da-da-da. You don't speak our language for real.
Right.
We don't even talk our language in front of you.
Right.
Right? But we all have our own little things. So whether it's what we're doing at church, which is still very segregated in many communities, or what we're doing in our own nightclubs, lounges, and venues, we have a whole different group, a whole different movement, whole different thing, whole different vibe. Right? But what can we begin to do, though, that when we're in these spaces, where we're having some good conversations, we're at Benjamin's in Business, amazing network opportunities, right? And you guys do a good job of letting people talk and speak. So we need to film it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
Right? And put it on TV.
Well, it's
so
over. We're done.
You said it's over? We're good?
Yeah.
We don't have to have this conversation anymore?
No.
Kevin, we've been having this conversation.
You don't want to hear the conversations that him and I have had about you and him having these conversations. And y'all need to, I don't know what y'all doing. And what are y'all doing?
Because we have sports. I mean, there's so many opportunities.
I got a show for you on that as well.
At the end of the day, we have 24/7.
Yeah. Okay.
24/7. Help me fill that time.
Okay.
You know, if you have a business or a product or a service, you know, I'm letting folks on with. I had a $5 spot sale, like, you know. So that's what. But I just want you to think about something. When you're on Instagram and you're on, you know, social media and that kind of thing, because that's generally where we see these commercials and stuff. A lot of times we don't even see them. We just happen to know that we're in a store and you see Master P's got potato chips, or you see, you know, I think Jermaine Dupri had come up with the ice cream, you know, that's in Walmart. Why are they not advertised on TV?
Right.
We know they have the money.
Yeah.
I think they have an advertising budget. But guess what? They don't own the TV. So guess what? We own this. So we're going to advertise to our people, just like the other networks advertise to their people.
Right.
You know? So they're going to advertise what they are pushing, what they want out there, because at the end of the day, the real truth is you only have 24 hours a day. All this thing, everything is time. But I want the entertainers and business owners. There's no black banks advertising on TV.
Right.
Like, but we own them. Right.
Adelphi definitely need to be.
Yeah. So, like, how are we supposed to know? It needs to be every day. It needs to look every day, just like when you turn on any other network on TV. You see us on there being excellent.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Unapologetically.
Absolutely.
Right. We're going to end on that, and that's a wrap.